Shoot. All right. What's up, guys? We up? Yeah. There we go. We're up.
Looks like it, yep.
We're good. So, welcome to week 8. Wow, we're almost halfway done with the season. That's crazy. We're gonna start this off with Ravens Buccaneers, and I'm gonna hand this one off to Jack.
So we actually get a decent Thursday night matchup this week, but I gotta go with the Ravens here. While I don't 100% trust them when it comes to most things, they've almost choked the lead to the Browns. The refs had to save them from putting the Browns in field goal range. The Bucs just put up 3 points against the Panthers, so I trust them even less than I do the Ravens at this point. So while I think this game will be competitive because the Bucs are getting a little healthier, I think Julio Jones may have a chance at playing, which is rare for him at this point. I'll give the slight edge to the Ravens here. I think they play a really good Thursday game and they get the win. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I gotta go with the Ravens here. I do not trust the Bucs in the slightest after they lost to not only the Steelers but the rebuilding Panthers. I don't see where the Bucs can go from here. They have gone from Super Bowl contenders to pretenders, and I gotta choose the Ravens. Zach?
I'm gonna go Bucks here. I really like this team still, and the Ravens are very consistently choking games, and Brady could capitalize on that very quickly if he can get this offense going. Mike Evans had a couple bad drops. Brady wasn't just slinging the ball like usual. The running game wasn't really going anywhere, but I feel like this is going to be different. Brady with short amount of time is a little scary, but I believe in this team to get the win over the Ravens. All right, our next matchup is the Raiders versus the Saints. I'm going to hand this one off to Josh.
I'm gonna have to go with the Raiders. After the absolute beating that they put on the Texans in the second half, I think that the Raiders have turned a new leaf, and I think that they can beat the Saints, who just threw 2 picks to the Cardinals and lost in a shootout on Thursday Night Football. So, give me the Raiders here. Zach?
I'll have to go Raiders. I really like this Raiders team. They're trying to finally make a turnaround after losing 4 straight games. So yeah, I think that they're gonna be making a good turnaround, and the AFC is not looking the best right now. They could totally make the playoffs still at this rate if they keep getting these dubs. So give me the Raiders, Jack.
I think I also have to go Raiders. Looks like they finally started to figure things out. They beat the Texans coming off their bye, and the Saints are still stumbling a bit. They're still injured. I don't 100% know, but Michael Thomas, Marshawn Lattimore, Bradley Roby, a lot of key guys could be missing, and I think that the Raiders' really good receiving duo of Darren Waller and Devontae Adams, along with a strong run game, should be able to give them the win here against the Saints.
Okay, our next matchup is the Eagles versus the Steelers. Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh versus Philly. That's actually kind of cool. Who do you got, Jack?
I have to go Eagles here. The Eagles continue to show that they're a top 2 team, if not the best team in the league. They just traded for Robert Quinn like a couple hours ago to get an even better pass rush duo going. And while the Steelers were able to pick up a win against the Bucs, they've still been pretty sketchy as of late, and I don't 100% trust them. Even with getting TJ Watt back, this Eagles team is probably the most complete team in the league, and I expect the momentum to continue here as they get a big win. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I also have to go Eagles here. With this team, it's like Jack said, I think it's the most complete team we have in football right now. Obviously, because I believe they are 7-0 after this if they get the dub here. So, I really like this team, and I think that if they could go very far. What about you, Josh?
I gotta go with the Eagles here. I don't see any way that the Steelers are winning this. Since that fluke win against the Bucks, they had a 3-pick outing against the Dolphins on Sunday Night Football, and I think that the Eagles are winning this handily.
Okay, our next matchup is Dolphins-Lions. And I just went off to Josh.
So, I'm going to go with the Dolphins here. I think that the Lions, think of them, they're just being Detroit, and Detroit is always going to be Detroit. So, give me the Dolphins here. Jack?
I think I also have to go Dolphins here. While the Lions are getting healthier, they got Amon-Ra back finally. They're potentially getting DeAndre Swift back this week. I think it's going to take some time to integrate those guys back in and get them at full strength. The run defense is still struggling a little bit, and Raheem Mostert has actually been producing pretty well the last couple weeks. So I expect the Dolphins to win this one, but I do expect the Lions to keep it relatively close for the most part. But the Dolphins will ultimately edge out with the win. What are your thoughts, Zach?
The Dolphins here. The Dolphins have just been playing a lot more consistent. I know that he's now back, which is very good for them, but he needs to be a little bit more careful. This Lions defense is not the best, but they can still get some huge hits on him, and yeah, he needs to be a little bit more safer with like sliding and everything. So yeah. What about you? I think F1 went, so yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next matchup is the Commanders versus the Colts. Josh?
I'm about to go with the Commanders here. The Colts are starting Sam Ellinger. The wheels have definitely fallen off of this ride, and I don't see where the Colts can go from here. I don't even know who would want Matty Ice at this point, and the Colts are just going to have to find someone else to put in their carousel next year. While the Commanders are looking really good, especially with their win this weekend against the Packers. So, give me the Commanders here. Zach?
That Packers game is such a fraud. Like, Packers just have more information about them being fraudulent, which I'll get into my take next team. But, yeah, I'm going to have to go Colts here. With Matty Ice being gone, he's actually been very consistent, and they haven't been really running the ball too much because JT is healthy, but he just hasn't had that same production yet that we saw last season. And I feel like we're about to see that because we're getting very close to when JT was starting to become RB1 again. So I'm going to have to go Colts here because Matty Ice is injured. They're going to use JT a lot more, getting him a lot more open looks. I don't even think that like a lot of their good contributors are going to be there, the Commanders, because they're trying to trade away their DT. I forgot what his name is. So yeah. All right, Jack.
I'll give the slight edge to the Commanders. Well, I probably credit their win against Green Bay more to the fact that Green Bay is not that good this year. Not saying that Washington is really good. I still think they'll ultimately edge it out. We don't really know what to expect with Sam Ellinger. We know that Matt Ryan's not playing. Maybe less turnovers, maybe more. We'll see, but ultimately, I expect the Commanders. Taylor Heineke's kind of established. He's been their quarterback for the last 2-3 years he's been around, so he's a little more comfortable playing. This will be Ellinger's first game. Expect the Colts to run the ball a lot. They kind of ease Jonathan Taylor back in, getting him more snaps each week. This week he's probably going to get a lot. Hopefully they get Hines back at full power too so they can run the ball. But ultimately I think they're trying to figure things out with the new system they're building, so I'll give the slight edge to the Commanders.
All right, our next matchup is the Buffalo Bills versus the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to hand this one off to Jack.
I have to go Buffalo Bills here. The Packers are just not that good this year. They're struggling a lot. Their receiving core is really injured right now. I believe it's just Romeo Doubs and Alan Lazard at this point playing. They've just struggled a lot. The Jets beat them up pretty bad. Washington beat them up. And Bills are probably the second best team in the league at this point. And they also have a really good defense. So I expect similar results to come for the Packers. They're going to continue this slide that they've been going through. I'd be really surprised if they were able to beat the Bills after what's happened the last couple weeks. We may be witnessing the downfall of the Packers this season. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I gotta go with the Bills here. They and the Eagles are actually my Super Bowl matchup right now. And the Packers, they just look like frauds. I don't know what else to say. Rodgers is trying his best right now, and he is just not getting the results at this point. I think that the entire Packers organization has relied on him for too long, and he has finally come to the point where he needs to retire and just be done with the Packers and with football in general. So give me the Bills here.
Same. This Bills team is, like Jack and Josh said, maybe the second or first best team, arguably, because they've only taken one loss to that really nice Dolphins squad in the beginning of the year. So I really don't know what to say about the Packers. They've been pretty bad lately. Their receiving core is banged up. Their defense hasn't been the same since their divisional game. Rodgers hasn't looked the same, especially, and it's just I don't know what to think about this Packers team. They're really gonna have to look in the mirror this year and ask themselves what do they want to be as a team, because they're not a Super Bowl team. They're also not like a team that can tank right now, so they're in a weird spot. But yeah. Our next matchup is the Dallas Cowboys versus the Chicago Bears. Josh.
I'm gonna have to go with the Cowboys here. As much as the Bears had a great win against the Patriots, I think that was more of the Patriots not knowing what to do with the Matt Patricia game planning. The Bears looking like a competent organization. So I got to go with the Cowboys here. That defense is going to lock them up, and it's going to be a good matchup for Dallas. Zach, what are your thoughts?
Dallas is right now probably a top 5 team in the NFC, and I have to give it to them. The Bears have had their fluke wins. That's the reason they're 3-5. They beat the Niners, they beat the Patriots, and who did they beat?
Texans.
Oh, there we go. Texans. They've had really weird wins, and the only game I really expected them to win was that Texans game. So, with that, it's just been a weird season for the Bears, and the Cowboys are really trying to make a playoff push, especially trying to fight in this really harsh NFC East this year. I did not think I was going to be able to say that this season, but yeah. So, give me the Cowboys. What about you, Jack?
I also have to go Dallas here. They still have probably a top 5 defense in the league pretty easily. Dak Prescott's going to keep amping it up each week that he's healthy. And I get that the Bears were able to win that game handily in New England, but I credit that more to the fact that New England was playing quarterback carousel in the middle of the game, swapping out Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones a couple times. And overall, they look like they're kind of falling apart right now. Not necessarily that the Bears had some crazy good game plan. They're about to take over the league. I expect a lot of running the ball from the Bears, and I think the Cowboys defense will be able to stop it here, so I think they'll get the win.
Okay, our next matchup is the Arizona Cardinals versus the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to give it to the Cardinals. I know that the Vikings are coming off a bye week, but the Cardinals just got DeAndre Hopkins back, and we're supposed to be getting a healthier James Conner back. Next game. Our defense is starting to become a better unit, and Isaiah Simmons really starting to step up. Xavier Collins starting to get some pressures here and there. J.J. Watt actually being healthy for once. Antonio Hamilton did really well. Marco Wilson, you saw the pick already. I'm sorry if I keep mentioning different players, but I think with the addition of D-Hop, I think this Cardinals team is really solid, and we could beat the Vikings. The Vikings do have a lot of great pieces, but I don't know what Dalvin Cook's situation is right now, so yeah. What about you, Jack?
I'll give the slight edge to the Vikings. Both teams are on long weeks. Cardinals played Thursday, so they got a long weekend to prepare. The Vikings got the bye. Both teams are looking good. Vikings are just a little more hot right now. Cardinals are heating up. They'll probably be super competitive game, but I'll give the slight edge to the Vikings here with home field. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I gotta go with the Vikings here because they are coming off of a bye. I do want to say congratulations to JJ and his wife on having their kid. So congratulations to that, but I do not see the Cardinals winning. They have a shootout against the Saints, and the Saints are still trying to figure out who the heck they are for this entire season. So I do not trust them against a team like the Vikings. Give me the Vikings here.
Our next matchup is the Carolina Panthers versus the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to give this one to... Oh, shoot. Jack.
I'll go with the Falcons here. This game's going to be weird. I can already tell. Carolina's coming off a crazy win. The Falcons are coming off a terrible loss and a very unhealthy secondary. But I'll trust the Falcons slightly more. They have... Actually, I don't want to say they have an identity. They like to run the ball a lot. And they've showed up and down. Carolina's showed a little more down than up. Falcons have shown more, I guess, success. This matchup's pretty weird, though, overall. I'll just give the slight edge to the Falcons because I like them a little better here. But don't be surprised if P.J. Walker pulls off an upset and throws for a lot of yards on that Falcons secondary. But I'll give it to the Falcons for now. What are your thoughts, Josh?
Well, I gotta go with the Falcons here. I really think that they're really the team to beat right now in the NFC South. I know that they've dropped a couple of weird games, but the Falcons could really make a run this year in that weaker division. So yeah, give me the Falcons here.
I'm gonna go Falcons here. It's weird. This matchup's really odd to look at, but I can see the Panthers getting a win here, especially just dealing with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers really well. But the CMC loss is a really difficult loss to take. So I have to give it to the Falcons because I trust Drake London, I trust Kyle Pitts, I trust Marcus Mariota. Those three I trust pretty well to get the win here. All right. Our next team teams are going to be the Seattle Seahawks versus the New York Giants. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to say Giants here. The Seahawks have been looking really solid lately, but the Giants have just been on a different level lately, beating teams that have been very competent, and they are really doing well with it. So, yeah. What about you, Jack?
I'm going to give the slight edge to the Giants. I expect this to be a good game, but Seattle mainly wins on a lot of good offense, and Giants defense is not going to be able. They're not going to be able to take advantage of the Giants defense like they were able to with the Chargers defense, which is a little more injured right now. And overall, I also think the loss of DK Metcalf is probably going to affect them. He's probably going to be out for a couple weeks. I don't know if he's playing this week or not. So I'll give the slight edge to the Giants. They just seem to find a way to win games no matter what situation they're in. Probably going to be defensive heavy, but ultimately Saquon will make an extra play and get them the win. What are your thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, I'm going to be going with the Seahawks here. I think that they have a really good shot of winning. Of course, they don't have DK, but I think that with Kenneth Walker as their back, I think that they're going to be able to pull it out against the Giants and get the upset here.
Okay, cool. Our next matchup is the LA Rams versus the San Francisco 49ers. I'll be taking this one. I'm going to go Niners here. I've been trusting the Niners a lot more often to get the win over the Rams because that's what they do in the regular season. Now, playoffs is a little different, but I feel like the Niners will get the win here. What about you, Josh?
I really think that the Rams are going to get a win here. The Niners have been way too up and down for me to choose them, and the Rams are coming off of their bye. So I think that the Rams will get a win here. Jack?
I'm going to go Niners. For whatever reason, the Niners absolutely destroy the Rams when it comes to regular season. And they're up and down. I expect this to be an up week. We're expecting to see CMC start to integrate a little more since he got there pretty late, so he wasn't really able to truly play and have an impact on the game last Sunday for them. But I think this week he gets involved. Rams do get Van Jefferson back this week, but I expect him to have to amp it up over time since he's been out for a while. So I don't expect him to save them right away, if at all. So I'll give the slight edge to the Niners here because of their regular season history over the Rams.
All right. Our next matchup is the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Denver Broncos. Josh?
I'm going to have to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars here. I really just want to watch the Denver Broncos burn and just have a whole fire sale on their team. And I don't know how many high knees Russell Wilson's going to need to do up and down. It won't matter. The Jags are winning here, and they're going to cause a big stir in Denver. So I'm going to hand this one off to Zach for his take.
I really want Nathaniel Hackett fired, but I don't know. Coaches usually don't get fired at that time. So I'm going to go with the Broncos just so Nathaniel Hackett keeps his job because he's probably going to get fired this weekend, maybe.
Wait, Zach, you don't want him to just be left in London?
He could actually totally if he loses to the Jags. But, don't pull can some player get left at London because of his passport?
Yeah, the punter.
Yeah, well, they're just going to rip up Nathaniel Hackett's passport, so you can't just come back. All right. What about you, Jack?
I'm going Jaguars here. I watched this Broncos team play, and they are not great. I get that Russell Wilson's coming back, but watching Brett Rypien play, he didn't seem like that much of a downgrade, if at all, from Russ. They played very similar, and I expect a heavily defensive battle here. The Jaguars are one play away from beating the Giants. Christian Kirk got stopped at the 1 yard line. There's a touchdown that would have won the game. So I have low expectations for this game. It's a London game, so we have to give them a treat, as always, by sending our worst. So I expect the Jags to somehow squeak out a win so the Broncos can finally start their fire sale that they've been talking about doing if they lose this game. So I expect it to start right here. Give me the Jags.
All right, our next matchup is the New York Jets versus the New England Patriots. Jack, go ahead.
I'll go Jets here. They haven't beat the Patriots in a while, but this Patriots team looks a little off lately. They just got smoked by the Bears on Monday Night Football, and the QB situation is, let's just say, dicey right now. I don't know who's starting. Probably Mac Jones, but both have been incredibly sketchy at this point in time. Jets defense have played at an elite level. I expect a defensive battle again, but I think the Jets run game will do just enough to give them a win, and probably by a field goal or less. So I'll take the Jets here. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I'm gonna just say right before I say this take, yeah, we usually do send our trash over to London and call it treasure. And we play our own national anthem that was written because we were at war with them. So, yeah, it's always funny to see those games. But I gotta go with the Jets, Jets here and get Johnny some more ice cream. Just like Jack said, I don't know what's going on. Matt Patricia's calling from a Happy Meal book, and Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi both do not seem to be good starting quarterbacks in the NFL. So give me the Jets here. Zach?
Jets, but I'm going to say this. I do like what they're doing because I don't think anybody really mentioned this, but the addition of James Robinson is a super nice add, especially with Breece Hall dealing with the ACL tear. Having a core right now of James Robinson and Michael Carter is a really nice pairing, and if the Jets, I think that they're going to be keeping on to James Robinson for next season, so it's going to be Breece Hall and James Robinson. That sounds like a nasty duo, but I'll get into that later. I'll get into that during off-season previews. But yeah. Our next matchup is the Houston Texans versus the Tennessee Titans. Josh, go ahead.
I'm going to have to go with the Tennessee Titans here. They just got their new $2 billion Topgolf area. Oh, wait. That's a stadium. Whoopsies. So, yeah, I think that the Titans have looked really good. I mean, they've been weird, but the Texans have just been so bad that the Titans lose to them. This is an embarrassment, and Mike Vrabel should not be the coach anymore if they lose to the Texans. So give me the Titans here. Jack?
I also go to the Titans here. Since their 0-2 start, they've won 4 straight, and they're finally starting to figure it out. Derrick Henry seems to have his step back. Tannehill's doing fine at this point, and their defense is starting to pick it up. While the Texans will probably do their annual upset win over the Titans, I expect that to come a little later this season. That normally comes later. It's a little too early for that at this point, so give me the Titans. What are your thoughts, Zach?
The Texans are either blowing for Bryce or stroking for Stroud. I don't know which one.
What the heck, Zach?
I don't know, but they're tanking pretty bad, and they're like probably the worst team other than the Panthers and the Lions right now. So, yeah, I don't really know what to say, but keep doing what the Texans are doing, and the Titans are going to get a dub here. Our final matchup, which is going to be Monday night, is Bengals versus Browns. I'm going to hand this one off to Jack.
I'm going Bengals here. The Bengals are starting to figure it out. They had a slow start, but they're finally starting to pick it up. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase went crazy again. So good for them to start to pick up some more wins. It's a hyper-competitive division this year. And overall for Cleveland, I'm just not sold. I see the talent on the roster, but they're just not winning. They've lost so many winnable games over the last couple weeks. There's been like 3 or 4 that they probably should have won, and they didn't. And while they almost beat Baltimore, that's because Baltimore's doing their normal shenanigans. You know, the choking stuff that they almost did. So they got really lucky. But the Bengals aren't going to choke, so there's not going to really be an opening here. I expect the Bengals to get this win and keep up in a competitive 2-horse race between the Bengals and the Ravens for the AFC North right now. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I got Bengals here. Yeah. I think that, Jamar and Joe Burrow actually had a good game for once. That's surprising. But they had it later in the season last thing they did later in the year, so I'm not too surprised, but I think this Bengals team is finally figuring out what they want to be as a team. I know they're 5-3, but finally like starting to hit their stride, and that's really good. So yeah, Bengals. Josh.
I'm gonna have to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. Who dey? And yeah, it's just because the Browns with Jacoby, they're not bad. They're just not winning games. So there's a lot, like Jack said, there's a lot of winnable games that they've just thrown away, and I don't see that getting any better with the Bengals being on the streak that they are on right now. So give me the Bengals here.
All right, that does it for our video today. If you liked it, hit that like button. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button. Leave a comment if you have any hot takes in the chat, or give us recommendations on what video you guys like. If you really like our channel, hit the subscribe button, turn on post notifications so you can get our videos every week. So yeah, and Jack, hit the plugs.
As always, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Frontline FB. It's at the top of the screen every week for predictions. And you know the drill. Friday Night Chronicles are back at their normal scheduled Saturday time because it's Friday football game again. And then obviously there's predictions every Wednesday going live between 7 and 10 at some point. So we'll see you guys back here either Saturday for the Chronicles or Wednesday for predictions. See you guys then.
Thank you for 150 subscribers.
Oh yeah, thanks for 150 subs.